Welcome to Confessions of a Parent Coach. I'm Coach, a mother of four, and potty talker, Ann Kaplan. This is the podcast where I confess something from my own parenting and coaching life, teach a lesson around it, and answer your questions. Even we parenting experts are far from perfect, and the real magic happens when we get down with all that imperfection. We get into the gritty side of parenting here, so earbud up and dive in.
Welcome into another episode of the podcast, everybody. What is up, party people? Oh my goodness, we are plugging our way through December, and I got to tell you guys, it's been a slog for me compared to usualer. That's a word that one of my kids used to say all the time. One of my second kiddo came up to me one time. He had fallen and kind of chipped one of his teeth. And he came up to me and he said, "Mom, is this usualer?" And I was like, "Actually, it is not usualer. We need to go to the dentist." Apparently that slipped out. Anyways, I'm apparently saying usualer is part of my regular vocab now. I have to remember that that's not actually a word. What I was going to say is that usually this time of year is like one of my favorite times of year. And if you're watching the video recording of this, you'll see that I'm wearing a Christmas sweater, total dorky dad sweater with like polar bears and Christmas trees and everything. And before you ask, yes, I am Jewish. I'm like one of the presidents of my temple board. I taught Sunday school. My kids get bar mitzvahed. Like, I am very Jewish. And also, I grew up with a non-Jewish dad. And so did my husband. And both of us grew up celebrating Christmas. And I wouldn't say that it's a super secular holiday for me, even. It's a pretty spiritual time of year for me, even though it's not religious in the sense of specific scripture, doctrinal worship, that kind of thing. But it is a really spiritual time of year for me, just because of holiday traditions, time for reflection, et cetera, et cetera. And that is what I want to talk to you about today. So I've confessed to you that I'm a Christmas loving Jew. And if you saw my house, you would be blown away. Like, the Christmas decorations are out of control. Everything is like super, super Christmassy, except for one little corner where we have three menorahs. But what I want to talk to you about today is that time of year, that quiet reflection, not about Christmas at all, talking about just this time of year. The winter solstice was a few days ago. This podcast episode is scheduled to come out on the, let's see, the 24th, actually, the day before Christmas. But earlier this week on the 21st was the winter solstice. And if you're on my email list, instead of getting an email on Tuesday, you got your email on the solstice this week. And that's for really good reason. And even though the solstice is a few days past at this point, that's what I want to talk about today, is just the darkest time of the year. And I don't know if that means emotionally for some people. It might literally just mean the time of year when the sun is the least present. But for a lot of people, that darkness is metaphoric as well. But this time of year has been marked in lots and lots of different traditions and cultures and religions all around the world forever and ever and ever. And whenever something is so universal like that, I always say, like, there's something there. So whatever religion you are, or if you have no religion at all or whatever, if you've been working with me for a while around parenting, you've probably already heard me say many times, it's very hard to find something that everyone agrees on. If you find something that everyone agrees on, it's probably worth looking at. And that's very true around parenting. Like, when I always talk about authoritative parenting, I'm like, you know what? There are a million different styles of parenting out there, a million different parenting experts. But one thing that we all pretty much agree on is that authoritative parenting is the gold standard. So it's kind of maybe worth looking into. And I would say the same is true about the solstice. If tons and tons and tons of different religions and cultures and societies for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years have been marking this moment in the calendar, it might be worth looking at. So let's look at it. What I find the most fascinating about the solstice, both winter and summer solstice, but today we're talking about winter, is stillness. Up until the winter solstice, the days are shrinking. And after the winter solstice, they begin to grow again. But on this one day, they are still. They're neither increasing nor decreasing. They have sort of reached that like low point. I almost picture life and the days and energy and our rhythm and stuff is almost like this, if you put like a marble into some sort of like scooped like a slide or a bowl or something like that, it sort of like goes back and forth until it comes to rest at the lowest point. That's what the solstice is, where it's finally comes we come to rest. And that is the biggest thing that I've been thinking about recently. It's the biggest thing that I've been needing recently, and something that I took me long enough to learn, but I finally did learn um as I've gotten older, is that when I'm feeling a need for something like rest and I don't give it to myself, I will subconsciously, accidentally, almost energetically wind up giving it to myself. So I'm feeling like I really need rest. Well, I have been also noticing that I have like hardly any motivation for work in the last couple of months. I just want to kind of retreat. Um, I've had like consultations that went like amazing, totally by the book, amazing consultations. And then the person later on is like, you know what? It's a no for me. And I'm like, I think there's something going on here. Right. So if you are like me and you're feeling that drive for rest, and then the stuff that you're working your butt off for is not really working out, or you feel like you're having to work twice as hard to get something that you're not even that jazzed about to happen, you might really just benefit from being like, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm taking a break. I'm resting. And that's something that I think we can take from the winter solstice. It's just almost like nature is almost forcing us to rest. It's this like dark, Spartan moment, and our surroundings are like cold and muffled. Like if you've ever gone for a walk after like a big snow, and like all of the sounds even are like quiet. It's just like a stillness that you can't even capture any other way. And those sort of circumstances almost force us to just sit still and be, not do, but just be. So I encourage you to find that stillness and, kind of come to rest, and you're back and forth, rocking back and forth like that marble in the bowl. Finally come to that lowest point and rest in the valley between those changing days, in the valley between whatever fall and spring. um Maybe it's the valley between one day and another, and you just find like a 5-minute moment of coming to rest at that low point, and just really just be in that stillness and pay attention, like what comes up, what's left when all of the motion and noise and busyness falls away. What's left, what remains? You might find a new insight. You might find yourself being drawn to doing something new with yourself, or trying something new, um or even you might find inspiration to confront something new that you have been avoiding. So even that stillness doesn't necessarily mean stagnation. Sometimes that stillness is the impetus for something new, right? I think that's actually really mostly true, almost more common than stagnation. The solstice is this moment to bring in new stuff, right? Like, what do we do this time of year, whether you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or no holidays at all? But what do we do just naturally this time of year? We try to bring in light and laughter and love and connection and warmth. Maybe we have like a cozy fire, or we start eating comfort food, or we light the menorah, or we have a beautiful Christmas tree or something like that. But we have this almost like intuitive drive to just kind of close ranks and batten down the hatches and be uh connected to what really really matters, nourishing ourselves, being connected to our loved ones, just being cozy and warm, and um you know thinking about like what do you want to bring in right now that adds warmth and connection to your life right today in this moment. It could be a message to a friend you haven't talked to in a long time, could be just adding another little throw blanket to your couch, could be lighting a fire, making your favorite soup, whatever, something that brings in that love and light. And then it's also a time to celebrate. I mean, think about it. Like, we've really been working our butts off at the year's coming to a close. There's just a reflection of like, where have you been this year? What are you doing? Where have you gotten to? Where did you come from? Also, I don't know about y'all, but ever since the time change back in October, I have just been making it through my day. I do not know what's up with me, but it's been this way for a couple of months now. And also, it's really actually true that our days have been getting darker and darker and darker. Of course, during the time change, they get darker like literally overnight, not practically overnight, literally overnight. But even before that, the days have been getting shorter and shorter and shorter. But now the solstice has passed. We're going to get more and more light every day. We get closer and closer to this warm springtime. you know there's this idea of reflection on how far we've come, and also like celebration, like we made it through that hard dark thing, and now it's like only uphill from here. And so you can give yourself permission to celebrate, and I think that's something that also is super traditional right now, like New Year's Eve. It's just like a big celebration, and we don't need to be just like raucous and intoxicated, although that's one way to celebrate, but also with this sort of reflection and giving ourselves credit and acknowledging everything that we've gone through and what we've done. So today's message for you is really just an encouragement about having that reflection, sitting in that stillness, bringing in that love and light into your life. And I just hope that you are having a winter season with room for all of those things, not just today, not just on the solstice, but all every day. And I also want to remind you and encourage you that you can do things intentionally to make sure that you have access and room for all of those things year round. And one of the things that I want to encourage you to do in that vein is to think about what you're going to do for yourself in 2026. And of course, my suggestion for you is that this might be time to think about getting coaching. It might be time to actually think about the 2026 retreat. You've heard me talk about it in various ways all year long. It's a huge piece of my clients who come on the retreat. It's a huge piece of their growth work that they sort of integrate and build on throughout the year. It's a huge piece of my work, both professionally and personally, preparing for the retreat, planning the retreat, connecting with people around the retreat, and then facilitating the retreat. It's always on my mind. And something that I'm doing right now, just until the end of this year, is locking in the 2025 prices for the retreat for the 2026 retreat. So if you send in your deposit for the retreat before New Year's Eve, you'll lock in those 2025 prices. Starting January 1st, all the prices for the retreat will go up because they have to go up a little bit every year. But if you book for 2026 and 2025, you're going to get those 2025 prices. And guess what? Not just for the retreat, for all my coaching packages. If you decide to hire me for one-on-one coaching, whether it's parent coaching, business coaching, career coaching, life coaching, or you decide to do couples work with me, or you join my group program, you will get to have those 2025 prices. So I really encourage you to take some time. It doesn't have to take a lot. This is a really busy time of year. I know that. Today, you might be listening to this on Christmas Day, for goodness sakes, but you only need 5 minutes or less to just reply to the email you got about this podcast episode, or to send me a message, or reach out through my website and let me know that you want to lock in those 2025 prices. You can absolutely make that happen for yourself without hardly lifting a finger. And it definitely does not need to interrupt this moment of rest and reflection and stillness for you. So these are all beautiful ways to bring that lovely energy forward and into every aspect of your life, not just this one season. So think about what you're doing in 2026. Think about if you want coaching, the retreat, both to be a part of that, and let me know. All it takes is just one little message, and have you on my radar and make sure that it happens for you. Have a great holiday, whatever, everybody. Enjoy the stillness, enjoy the winter, enjoy the connections, enjoy the warmth, enjoy the light and the love. And I will talk to you again next year.
The episode is over, but there's more waiting for you. You can grab my free workbook, Getting Kids to Listen the First Time, that walks you through the fundamental principles I teach all of my clients and applies them to this very universal parenting challenge. So if you're sick of repeating yourself all day long or just want to learn more about my style, you'll definitely want to go to bit.ly/kidswholisten. And if you're ready to work with me, let's meet. Set up a free call at bit.ly/KaplanCall, and let's create an action plan that gets you exactly where you want to go. And of course, links to all this goodness are in the show notes. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time.